Today we're here with a very unusual warbird, the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation Boomerang of the Warbird Display Team with Remko.
Hello,
You
Henry.
fly this machine.
Yes, Henry, I do.
Now, very unusual. The only one in Europe?
It's the only one in Europe, yeah. Actually it is. And at the moment in America there's none as well. But Kermit Weeks is restoring one, so that will be flyable in, I think, maybe next year already.
That's fantastic. And can you tell us a little bit about the story behind this machine?
Yes, the story actually is that this was the first boomerang that took to the skies after the Second World War. And that was in 1991, and it has been built by Saunders, which is a very famous company doing the STC on the Sea Furies, but also the smoke systems. And they thought, well, we can build a boomerang and then thereafter do a lot more of the boomerangs. They did this one, and actually they did find out that it was a lot of work. They had to rescan the wings, redone the center section, used about 3 boomerangs to build this up. So the main parts were from 139 and the canopy is from 67, for instance. The only shortcut they made is the tail section normally is a tubular system with wood and linen. And because they did not have a suitable one which was usable, they built a monocoque of it. So that's the only thing which is not completely correct on this plane, but safety-wise this of course is stronger than what it was.
So it's a composite of original airframes?
Yes. Yeah.
And this aircraft was, of course, they were built in Australia during the war?
They were built in Australia, and it was called the Panic Fighter. People were afraid that due to the submarines from the Japanese, no more goods would arrive in Australia, and they really needed fighters. So they thought we use the Wirraway as a basis, which is actually
a T6.
T6, and build a plane. They did it in 6 months, so it's, for a country like Australia, that's pretty fast. And it's the only fighter ever produced in Australia, designed and produced. It had one problem. The engines which the Australians produced under license, the Pratt & Whitney, it had one-stage supercharger. So above 15,000 feet, it was not a good plane. So as an interceptor fighter, it was not good. But at low altitude, it is quite a formidable plane. It was very well armed for the time. It had 2 cannons, 4 machine guns with 1,000 rounds per machine gun. 250 have been built, and at the moment there are flying around 3. There are some which are in the process of nearing construction, so in the end I think there will be 7 boomerangs. So that's quite a lot for the small amount built. And this one has the 1,350 horsepower engine in it, which gives it a tremendous power to weight ratio.
Yeah, that's really impressive, because I've heard during the war there were never any successful combat kills for the aircraft, and it was used more in sort of ground attack after its days as an interceptor. But I saw your performance in this machine yesterday, and that power to weight ratio, that is really impressive.
It really is. You don't need to do any energy management because the power is always there. And it's got a very roomy cockpit, so for long transition flights it's also very interesting to fly. It's a nice plane to fly on long stretches. So actually this was, you're referring to it, it was used as a ground attack plane, and actually it was the A-10 of its time. And it searched for targets for the bigger planes like the Corsairs, because they were not as maneuverable and nimble in the jungle and in the mountains and valleys. So until the end of the war they were used, although it was outclassed by a lot of airplanes by that time. And one significant detail is that the very last flight during Second World War was done operationally with boomerangs. So if we walk around and see the differences with a normal T6, you will see the brakes are from the P51. The wheels are much higher in the center section than on a T6. There is about 1.5 inch difference. Then of course you have the nose is much shorter because this big engine with the weight and balance of course is a little bit different. And the fuselage itself is also completely different than a T6. In the end, 4% of all the parts you will find on a T6 or a Wirraway can be used on this one or the other way around.
So they started with the Wirraway, which was the Australian-built T6, and they used that as the template, but by the time they were done, they essentially had an all-new fighter.
Yeah, so quite different. If you look at the engine, this is the Dash 94, recognizable by the magnets in front of the engine. The normal, until the 92 version, they had the magnetos on the back. So that is quite interesting. As you can see, the propeller is pretty close to the ground. So you have to be a little bit careful on bumpy takeoffs and landings.
You can certainly see from its appearance, it appears quite stubby because you've got that big engine just right in front of the cockpit.
Yeah, it is a ground loop waiting to happen. So the landing is, for this type of plane, pretty narrow, and the short fuselage together with the short nose makes it a little bit tricky.
And are there any other challenges to operating this aircraft?
Actually not. It flies beautifully. Saunders did a very well job building this. As the only main concern with this plane is that it will yaw tremendously. So
and
even
because of the torque.
No, the short frame doesn't give it like when you throw a dart. It's designed to go straight ahead, and this one just wants to fly like this. So even at 250 knots, you can get it into a tremendous yaw. So you have to be doing everything with your feet on the pedals all the time and keep it coordinated. That's the only tricky thing on this plane, and for the rest, I can tell you it's great fun to fly. It flies more than a P40 than a T6. It has nothing to do with a T6. And the guys from Saunders, they said, well, it flies more like a P40, only in the yaw it is different. So in the end, beautiful plane and very good for the airshow circuit because it's so rare. And that gives me an advantage to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is your first time, of course, with the aircraft in the UK?
Yes, we have flown on the Channel Islands before. We do a lot of flying in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe. But this is the first time in the UK, yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic to see you here. Now, the paint scheme of this aircraft, the markings, are they of any particular significance?
Actually not. I bought it as it is now. And it has been designed by Saunders and finished by Saunders. And actually, since 1991, it hasn't been touched paint-wise. So it's still looking...
It's in good condition for that.
Yeah.
And you've got the number on the fuselages of the aircraft that donated the most amount of original parts to the airframe.
Exactly. One interesting point is that Rick and I have been flying Warbirds for almost 15 years. I have done a lot of flying with the Simpson Reliant. And in the end, I was lucky enough to be able to buy this one. And I bought it from the guy who did buy all the planes for Paul Allen. So he was very knowledgeable. And I still have very good contact with him. It's Jeff Thomas in the States. And a very nice guy. Also a pilot, of course. And it's always good that you have a family, you know. If I need to have some parts, I can just give him a call. He will help. And he gave me some head-ups about flying the plane because you can't train.
Because there's so few around.
Yeah, but there's no dual
it's a singles
boomerang around, so you have to fly the T6 from the back to start with, and then know all the speeds and things of this one, step in and fly it. So that's great.
So how can people find out more about your organisation?
Actually, the airshow organizers, they know how to find us. So we don't actually at the moment have a website or whatever, but we're in the process because the younger guys joining our team, they are of course more familiar with website and things like that. So,
would it be possible to have a look on board? Oh, you're right about the space.
it's huge, huh?
You've got some of the depth of a T6, but it feels more homely.
Yeah.
With the kind of the layout and.
So even this is all completely different because the engine diameter on the T6 is bigger than the twin row Pratt & Whitney. Yeah, so even this has been changed quite significantly. Yeah.
I can see how the canopy would be good for the ground attack role because you've got really good visibility.
Down you have very good. In the front you can see it's not so good, but looking downwards it's fantastic. Yeah, and what they did is because it was so hot, they always flew it with the canopy open.
Out in the Far East.
Yeah, if you fly at high speeds it's not very nice, but if you're flying at, let's say, 180 knots, it's just fantastic to have the canopy open on a hot day. They flew it actually with short pants. So this is all the same as in the T6 actually. Of course you have different fuel selectors and you have your cowl flaps here, different starting procedure, but those are the interchangeable parts. And you see here that's got the spade grip,
yeah,
which I prefer above a stick. I really love to fly with the spade grip. So much nicer than flying a stick.
Yeah.
Especially on longer stretches, you can use this arm, that arm, you can have it way down low.
So what armament would they have been fitted with?
They had two 20mm Hispanos. And
in the wings?
In the wings, and 4 small machine guns with 1,000 rounds per machine gun. So for strafing, it was a very good plane because it can turn around, come back again within the blink of an eye.
Demonstrate in your routine. There's some fantastic maneuvers there.
Exactly, and up high, not good, but way low. That is what we do on the air shows. I don't think that there is a more capable plane than this one, to be honest.
That's fantastic. Could they take any stores underneath? Are there any hard points? Or
yes, they had a flush installed belly tank for very long ranges. Mind you, behind you, the chair I never use because they can't get out. It's for my luggage. But in the back there was a huge fuel tank as well. So in total it could loiter for 7 hours at low altitude. So pretty good. And in the jungle the fighting was not on a front. It was some fighting here, some fighting there. So you needed a nimble plane being able to fly low. And the Boomerang pilots flew so low that they could see the footsteps of the Japanese near rivers to find out where they were. And then they would drop smoke charges for the big Corsairs with the bigger bombs. It could carry not a very heavy bomb, of course, with this little plane, but it would lead the way for the Corsairs. If you look up on the internet and you just punch in Boomerang Corsair, the first picture you will see is a little Boomerang taxiing out, next 20 Corsairs behind it to follow it.
Next to the big Corsair, and you can see the size difference to the Corsair we got here today.
Yeah, if you would put them next to each other, you would say, well, but I said it really is a fantastic plane, and the visibility towards something underneath you is good. But you see the air scoop is in, so in front you don't see too much. Especially because you need to fly with the gills open when the temperatures are very hot. So they had to do that
all the time out in the jungle.
Yeah, yeah. And as already said, if you try the pedals, all is pretty light. If you take the steering, and it's extremely light. Even at 250 knots, you can still fly it with one hand easily. The notch on there is for me to have a kind of target speed that I will stay, especially in turbulence, that I will stay in a safe region. Although the VNE is around 360 knots, I would rather stay, especially in very bumpy situations, to stay at the maximum of 250, sometimes 270, but that's why the notch is there. to keep it in sight for me.
And I really like the layout of the instrument panel, from having, you've got your oil, your fuel, your cylinder temperatures, your magnetos. It's all laid out really well and right in front of you.
Yeah, the gun sight obviously was here. I have the original gun sight at home, but in a crash you will...
and even less visibility as well, I imagine, having a reflector sight.
Yeah. And now I have a backup for if my iPad fails or whatever, I can use that one to still get home.
Well, thank you very much.
Henry, thank you.
It's brilliant. It's great to see you bringing this aircraft, very rare and unusual Warbird, on the display circuit and its story to the general public.
Exactly, and I'm very proud that you picked me to do some interviews, so well done.
Well, it's fantastic to see you here. Thank you very much.
Hopefully till soon.
Yes.
Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.